With the NGK spark plugs, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. You might ask yourself, should I go with the nickel, the platinum, the iridium, or even the ruthenium? So in this video here, I'm going to show you exactly how I chose my NGK spark plug so you can pick yours with confidence. All right, so where did I begin looking for my spark plugs and how did I end up choosing the ones that I have? So let's go ahead and jump right into that. So I came here to Rock Auto, and by the way, I'm shopping for my 1993 Cadillac DeVille. This could sort of vary for your car, but I'm gonna try to cover all these spark plugs that they have, even for newer cars, so that way it can help you make a decision here. So, okay, first of all, you're going to see here in Rock Auto, you got copper, platinum, double platinum, and iridium just for my car. Again, other cars may have, the ruthenium available and the double laser iridium. So again, of course, the nickel here, I'm going with NGK. I'm not going to get the copper nickel because, well, I just don't want those. The platinum, um, this was more influenced by this right here having the heart here. I thought about a lot of people buying these, and this right here is the 3403 double platinum. They have those available here, and the iridium. So what did I do? I go here and I click info right here and opens this screen here. So the first thing you see here, we don't have to worry about everything here in the screen, but what we want to worry about here is this chart right here. So if you look at this chart is semi quantitative, meaning that, yeah, they're giving you some values of how much more something is allegedly better than another product, but it's not really giving you any hard numbers or hard data, but it's a good guide. So let's just not even talk about the copper. We're going to go ahead down to the platinum, the iridium, and the ruthenium here. So the first thing you want to notice here is that just because a spark plug is cheaper, that doesn't mean it doesn't have any better attributes than something that might cost, well, have better. I'm gonna say cheaper because that's gonna be something we're gonna talk about in a second. Just because a spark plug is higher up on the list doesn't mean it doesn't have something better than spark plug that should be overall better. Like for example, if you take a look here at performance under the G power, which is the ones I actually put in my car, you're going to see the performance and ignitability for the double platinum is less, and even the iridium laser has equal. Okay, but if you go to the double platinum next and take a look at this, the lifespan on these are superior to anything before you get to the iridium laser or the ruthenium. So if you take a look here at this chart here, this chart can give you a good guide on what do you want to do in terms of longevity, in terms of performance. And if you have a newer car, you probably, meaning that we'll talk about that in a minute here, anything between 2005 on up, you probably want to go between the laser and the ruthenium, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But let's just talk about generalities here. So if you want to go with performance, but a decent lifespan, the G power, that's why I went with the G power, because I wanted my car because to have good performance when you hit the gas, because these caddies are pretty torquey right off the rip. And the lifespan isn't the greatest, but it's not the absolute worst. I didn't want to go with the double platinum. Although the double platinum, if I had to change them again, I probably put the double platinums in there next. I feel like losing out on that little bit of performance with these may not be worth it for me. Now the iridiums here, although the iridiums got some of the best performance and nightability, got pretty good fuel economy, at efficiency, the lifespan on them aren't as good as you would think. Now, however, when you get down to the laser, that's when things change dramatically. So these right here, these two in the bottom are sort of in a class on their own. So let me go back to this one page. And I really want to show you something here. For example, if you look at this, going over here to the copper here, you see this is 3951. This is NGK 3403. This is NGK 7862 and NGK 7164. Now, if you go here to the NGK parts finder, put in your car model and all of that, what will happen is that it'll pull up parts. And obviously the spark plug is going to be to the top, but that's presumably what NGK is mainly known for. Look at the order that they put these spark plugs in, and it might make you wonder, why do they put them in that particular order? Well, they put these in order by longevity. That's what it seems to be to me. So let's go over here and take a look at the page when I go to the NGK website and look up these spark plugs. And there's a few details right here on the screen to the right. First of all, we take a look at the 3403s. Let's go from the cheapest, the copper, which is the 3951s. If you look at, these are $5.48, but look at the number they have in stock, 15,000 in stock, 158 to be exact. Now, if you go to the next, the one that costs the next cost up, which is $6.12, which is what I got, the 3403. There's a dramatic change in how many is in stock. Look at that, 1,738. Now, when you go up to the next price level, which is 1051, you see another drop, 395 in stock. And when you go to that laser platinum, which is the most longest lasting one, $11.28, only 165 in stock. So by looking at this, you can tell that you probably do not want to go with the copper because nobody's buying them, if you think about it like that. The G Power is just next on the list, but I would think that if you want to go for cheap but good performance, the G Power is where it's at. However, most people, I would recommend to go ahead and get the laser platinum, though they do cost a bit more, but they're going to last. I'll show you the length of how long they claim they last in a second. So let's look at these in order of how they put them here on the sheet and how long that they will last. So if you look at the bottom here, this is the lowest one on the list, NGK 3951. If you go down to specifications, scroll down, you'll see 30,000 miles for longevity. All right, we go next up on the list to the 3403s, which is this is 3403. Click product specification, scroll down, you see 40,000 miles. Now 40,000 is kind of okay for me because I don't drive all that much. If you're a serious driving a lot, I put it like this: if your plugs are easy to access, that's one thing. The plugs in my Cadillac, unless you got a lift and can get under the car, they're a real pain. I got to be honest. But 40,000 miles ain't necessarily so bad. Again, it depends on how easily accessible your plugs are. All right. So look at the next one on list, 7164. We go here to the 7164 plug. Look at the product specification, 50,000 miles, and these are iridium. But again, you're going to get that performance on these iridiums though, and their ignitability, and also get a much better fuel efficiency economy with these as well. So you're getting 10,000 more miles, a little bit better performance, and a little bit better fuel economy here. Now, last on the list, which is the laser platinum 7862. If we go here to that 7862, open up the product specifications, look at that, 90,000 miles. So what would be my normal recommendation here? I'll put it like this. If you want to save money, just go back here and look at this chart here in Rock Auto again. If you want to just save money but get the best life, you're not gonna say the best, but some of the highest performance and good lifespan, well, decent lifespan, I would go with the G Power. Now, if you're really going sheerly for life, again, I'm just excluding the iridium, laser, and ruthenium now just for a second because they only make these for cars after a certain year, and I'll show you that here in a second. I would go with the double laser. Now, if you just wanted, especially if your plugs are easily accessible, again, I can't stress that enough. The iridium, what is that? The IX, which would be Roman numeral number 4, iridium 4. I would definitely, consider the iridium if you got easily accessible plugs. But otherwise, G Platinum, if you're trying to save money, get good performance. Double Platinum if you are surely going for longevity but want to save the most bang for your buck. Because I'm assuming that iridium lasers and ruthenium should cost substantially more than those double platinums. All right, so going back to the rutheniums here. So here's their web's page here on this, and you can see they got all this good data here and good things to talk about in the short. But what I did was, I know I scrolled through that quick, but that's because I actually have it right here so we can actually see it really good. I actually downloaded the product sheet for it. So these right here are designed for the latest in the high ignitability and spark plug of automotive aftermarket. Um, you know, today's engines, they claim they would create more power using less fuel, and this shortens the lifespan of that traditional iridium and platinum plug. So that's why they created this ruthenium technology for that maximum durability and performance in these newer engines. Um, so right here, for example, let's scroll down a little bit. It said NGK difference. Let's go over to the side. This is patented. But here's what I want to show you here. The Ruthenium HX covers 93% of 2008 to 2018 high ignitability vehicles on the road today. I don't know how old this product sheet here is, but I would think that they would continue to make them for, because I'm sure cars is getting, you know, much more efficient. And this is 2026. So I'm assuming they just haven't updated this sheet. I assume that they would make them for more, for very late model cars. And it says increases, check this out, ruthenium alloy increases durability that provide the longest service life for turbo or direct engines. Now let's take a look over here to the right. Now this is where we get real interesting. Look at these two type of electrodes here that they got. They just seemingly offer these in two different types. So you got the DFE, the double fine electrode. It maximizes ignitability while reducing emissions for low heat engines. This is patented designs for recommended for non-turbo engines. So you have a car after 2005 that does not have a turbo, this would be the best fit. Now, on the other hand, you got the projected square platinum electrode, the PSPE, provides the best ignitability and service life for high heat engines. This NGK patent design is recommended for turbo and supercharged engine. So again, as you can see, you got a turbo PSE, PSPE, non-turbo DFE. Though, just thinking about could you interchange these, I would think that you could put the PSPEs in a non-turbo engine, and a non-turbo engine would probably be just fine with that. But if you put the DEFs inside of a turbo engine, it probably would be overall just fine, generally speaking, but you probably could not maximize that ignitability with the DEFs in that turbo or supercharged engine. Okay, so if we scroll down a little bit more, let's take a look at some visualizations that they got here. First of all, looking at the durability here, city driving versus highway driving versus wide open throttle at 5,000 RPMs. Iridium compared to the ruthenium, what we see is that obviously the ruthenium is maintaining its actual contour and shape throughout that process, meaning that it will have maximum surface area for that spark. And additionally, I would assume that when the tip is beginning to be reduced, that will cause more heat and resistance inside of that spark plug. That's just me. I don't know that for sure, but that's just what I believe anyway. All right, for high ignitability over here, the ruthenium provides a more complete fuel burn than any other precious metal plug. The results are quicker throttle response, smoother idle, and better cold starts. Let's just take a look and see what they got here. Ruthenium versus iridium versus nickel. And they claim that looking at these flame kernels, if you look at from ignition, 1 millisecond, 2 millisecond, 3 millisecond, that burn is just totally complete throughout that entire those four frames. And if you look at the iridium, you have more red here in the center than you would have in the center of the nickel. So that means that obviously those platinums that I had, they don't show them here. They probably should fall maybe somewhere in between here, if not equal, in between the ruthenium and the iridium, if not equal to the iridium, based on that chart we looked at on Rock Auto. What else we got here? Looking at the combustion pressure test and the acceleration test, meaning that there's little little dispersion in that. Basically, it's less variation in that pressure, combustion pressure, so there's just more stability in that chamber, which is, I would assume, is better for that stroke when that piston is going up and down in that chamber. So there's that compared to ruthenium to a conventional spark plug. They didn't compare it to a iridium, but again, that's interesting because they compared all three in every other chart besides this combustion pressure test here. Looking over here, the acceleration test here, we got about overall compared to conventional spark plugs about an improved time over the first what is this up to 90 kilometers per hour. I wonder why they use kilometers, but anyway, a 0.75 second difference. So I'm assuming kilometers, I think you divide that by 1.6, and that would let's see here. Is that right? Let me see. 90 divided by 1.6. It's about 60 miles an hour. I think that's how you would do that. So 0 to 60, you're getting, it's seemingly you're getting about nearly three, well, basically 3/4 of a second faster. That's pretty good. Because I mean, a half a second makes a big difference when you're doing 0 to 60. So there's that. You get that speed increase as well. So anyway, I hope that this video here helps somebody out pick the plug. In summary, last I'll say it again, if you are looking for cheaper plugs that have good performance and a decent lifespan, go with the Platinum G Powers. If you're just surely looking for, lifespan and you don't want to spend the money on the iridium lasers or the ruthenium, go with the double laser platinums. Now, if you just want to have fun and have some spunkiness in your car, especially if your plugs are easy to access, go with the Iridium IXs. And if you have a newer car, particularly if it's a performance vehicle, particularly if it's a car with a turbo or or the supercharged, go with the Iridium laser or the ruthenium, preferably with the ruthenium HXs. So anyway, guys, I hope that helped you out. Did this help me make my decision? And so the next time I go to buy spark plugs, I know exactly which ones I want to get.